In the recent time period, I've had a lot of amazing success with Performance Max campaigns. I mean, if you look right here on my screen, I'm inside of one of the main Performance Max campaigns for one of my clients' e-commerce brands under my Google Ads agency, Euro Marketing. If we look at the ROAS for just this month alone, and I'm recording this video on the 23rd of August, we can see that so far this Performance Max campaign has been getting a 5.20x ROAS. But wait, that's not enough. If we now go on over to another personal e-commerce brand where all I'm doing is just running a Performance Max campaign, we can see that this Performance Max campaign just for this month alone is running at a 7.14x ROAS. If we now change the time period to just the last 7 days, we can see it's actually increasing to about an 8x and above. So these Performance Max campaigns are running pretty well. And the third example that I have for you is this PMax campaign right here within another client's e-commerce brand. But yet another success story I've had with Performance Max campaigns with a little bit of a bigger account. If we see right here in the last 30 days, you can see that this account is majority Performance Max campaign. But if you look at the return on ad spend, you can see 6.72x, 5x, 3.21x, 9.99x, 2.55x, and of course 6.95x. So there's a wide variety of different PMax campaigns running for a wide variety of different niches in general and also e-commerce brands. And through all of these advertising tests that I have done with these different ad accounts, I have also come to understand one major thing, and that is what exactly ends up killing and destroying a Performance Max campaign. And you'll be surprised to know what some of these things are. Now, like I mentioned, I've spent so much money on PMax campaigns. I've also had the opportunity to run those PMax campaigns which absolutely destroyed themselves and provided me little to no results. But exactly what makes a Performance Max campaign die in the long run, and more importantly, what should you not be doing with a PMax campaign so you end up not basically messing up your entire performance for your e-commerce brand? Number one thing that you never want to do with a PMax campaign in order to make sure it does not get destroyed is to launch a Performance Max campaign with a target ROAS set. I mean, it's a direct entry into a full-on destroyed Performance Max campaign, at least based off of my own experience. And if we go right here inside this major PMax campaign, because this PMax campaign has been running for quite some time now, and let's actually change it to a little bit of a longer time period to when I actually launched this PMax campaign, we can see that it was actually launched on June 28th. Ever since then, it has been running, so coming up on about 2 months. But if we look at what was going on during the early portion of the time period when this campaign was launched, so June 28th all the way upwards until July 20th, we can see that the sales were very scarce. I mean, they were basically not coming at all. And if you look at this campaign a little bit deeper, you will see that what was going on with this Performance Max campaign is this Performance Max campaign was actually running with a target ROAS set. And that's because I had upgraded this PMax campaign from a smart shopping campaign onto a Performance Max campaign. You can see the target ROAS during this initial time period used to be 200%. That's, I mean, what was giving a lot of good results with that smart shopping campaign. However, come this Performance Max campaign, the results were absolutely destroyed. I had no idea what was going on with this PMax campaign, so I decided to kind of go all in and just make a very drastic change. And what I did on July 11th, because I was not getting any results during this initial time period, is I basically disabled target ROAS, and you can see exactly what started to happen after that. The results basically changed tremendously. I started to become much more profitable, and this is when, if we look now at a weekly time period, things just took off. I mean, it went from just getting barely any results at all, just 0.53x ROAS, below a 1x ROAS, all the way consistently up to a 3x ROAS, 6x ROAS, and that too increasing now to a 8x ROAS. So this was one of the biggest things that destroyed my Performance Max campaign initially when I essentially quote launched it, because I was launching it by upgrading it from smart shopping. But this is not the only example I have. I've had a lot of different e-commerce brands where I've done the same exact thing, launched them with a target ROAS set, and all it has done is just ended up destroying the Performance Max campaign. So save yourself from this destruction. Just don't go out and end up basically launching a Performance Max campaign with a target ROAS set, because what that's gonna do is it's gonna end up destroying your results that you are getting. But this now brings me to the second point, which ended up crushing my results with Performance Max, and that was to launch a Performance Max campaign for all of those products which were already within a standard shopping campaign. And what better way to kind of look at this in real point of view than to look at this ad account right here. So this ad account for the longest time had a smart shopping campaign running as well as a Performance Max campaign running. And if we look at this ad account right here for the last 50 days or so including today, if we just go back 50 days, we can see exactly what was going on. So during this time period, the results had actually started to drop tremendously. I mean, we had no idea what was going on with this ad account. Things were just not looking good. So what I ended up doing, and by the way, this is also for an e-commerce client's brand under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, which if you're currently doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue, you need a little bit of extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But as you can see, during that time period, the last 50 days alone, things were just going downhill. There was really no clue as to what was going on. But if we kind of look at what started to happen later on after certain changes were made, you can see that results started to go back up to what they were initially. And what I came to realize after doing a very deep analysis of this ad account is these two shopping campaigns, the first one was a smart shopping campaign, the second one a Performance Max campaign, they were kind of interfering with each other for the longest time. So if you see right here, this is when they were interfering with each other. And when I noticed this, what I ended up doing with this smart shopping campaign is I ended up completely excluding the products that were running within the smart shopping campaign to then just let them run within the Performance Max campaign. So initially during this time period, as you can see, results started to go up with this PMax campaign because I again ended up excluding that smart shopping campaign, a lot of the products which were also within this PMax campaign. But here's the twist: excluding those products from the smart shopping campaign, all that really ended up doing was ended up destroying the overall performance for this ad account, simply because those products were performing the best within that smart shopping campaign, not within this Performance Max. I mean, if you look at the results right here, they do look like they were up and down overall, but in reality they were not where we wanted it to be, and as a result it was not really useful to have that done. So all that we really ended up doing when we excluded the product from the smart shopping was kill off a campaign which was performing well, because these two campaigns had the same exact products running within each other. So what we realized the best way to go about with this was to exclude the products from the smart shopping campaign or the Performance Max campaign so that only one campaign type had those products running. And what we decided to do after kind of excluding it completely from smart shopping is to only let the winning products, which used to be big winning products within the smart shopping campaign previously, run within the smart shopping, and then whatever other products we were testing, run them within the Performance Max. And as you can see, looking at just this month alone, the results started to come back within this ad account. It was a much better of approach to running smart shopping and Performance Max together. So from this, what we understood what kills a Performance Max campaign is, number one, running the same kinds of products in both Performance Max campaigns as well as smart shopping or standard shopping even, but also number two, relying on Performance Max too much and then only running those products within Performance Max, especially if your previous results say something else. So if you were originally getting a lot of results with smart shopping, there's no reason for you to just shut them off completely to then transition onto Performance Max until smart shopping gets fully upgraded to Performance Max. Just let those products run within that smart shopping campaign. That's essentially what we learned from this mistake, which again is to not let the products interfere with each other. But this brings me to the next kind of big mistake that I learned about when it comes to Performance Max, and that is to upgrade to a Performance Max campaign from a smart shopping at an increased budget. Simply put, you just don't want to do that. Upgrade at the same budget or a lower budget, because once you upgrade it, what's going to happen is it's going to take a bit of time for it to actually start running at the same level that it was optimizing at. So if we look at this campaign right here, it has been running for quite some time now, but if we look at initially what happened, we can see that this campaign initially in the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it was not getting the best type of results. It took some time. So essentially August 4th, August 5th, with this campaign for this ad account is when results started to come in, but the campaign itself was upgraded on July 26th. So again, it took a bit of time for it to kind of get back on level. And if we had decided to upgrade this campaign at a much higher budget of $100 a day, $200 a day, what would have happened is, because this campaign has only data of running and optimizing at a budget of $50 a day or less, it does not have enough of a budget or room to expand to that $100 a day budget or more and to optimize and run at that level, which means it would have gotten results at a much later portion of time after it had started to run. And within that period of time when it was not getting results, it would have led to some big losses. So in order to prevent those big losses initially, because what I'm noticing is a lot of campaigns, regardless of which kind of account they're on, they're following the same kind of trajectory where in the beginning they're really not getting the desired results, but then as time goes on, they're starting to get better and better. That's what we are noticing for a long period of time. So in essence, what you want to do is you want to, of course, want to upgrade it, let it run for a decent amount of time, and then once it starts to get your results, and then go in and start optimizing the budgets, increasing them, and so on and so forth. But the moment you do that initially, what's going to happen is you're going to override that campaign's performance and optimization, and you're going to make it so that it's not able to optimize at that given level. But this brings me to the next point on the list, which can destroy your performance max campaigns, and that is to simply exclude more than 15 to 20 products at any given time during campaign optimization. So what do I mean by this exactly? Now, I'm gonna give you an exact example of when I experienced this firsthand myself and exactly what ended up happening after that happened. So we have this campaign right here on my screen where it was running very well for a long period of time. So essentially from July 7th all the way up to this time period of August 1st. So a little less than a month. We can see that what happened with this campaign was during that time period, it was running and getting decent amount of results, but all of a sudden after one change was made, essentially right here, things just went to zero. Nothing was working after that. No matter what we did, things just weren't working. So as a result, there came a time period when we just stopped spending on this ad account. And as you can see, when the ad spend went down to $3, that's the day when we got essentially one sale. And that's why you see this big boost in the ROAS to 11x. But the main reason why this ended up being a total failure is because if we look at the all changes done during this time period, you can see that on this day, we excluded roughly 32 different products. And this number is just a maximum sort of number. What I've noticed is that once it reaches about 15 to 20 product exclusions, anything above that, that's when just things go down to zero. That's essentially what happened during this time period. This campaign was full on destroyed after this exclusion rampage that we went on. So a good campaign that was getting us decent number of results during the initial time period, as you can see, we were getting good results. I mean, it wasn't the best result, but it was still a result that was above our break-even ROAS. Things just went to zero. That's when we realized that with PMax campaigns, excluding products above 15 to 20, that's when you end up destroying that campaign. So to not kill your performance max campaign, what you want to do at all times is exclude less than 15 to 20 products. So let's say you want to optimize your product side of things right now within this campaign. So you go to the product section and you see that there's about 25 different products that need to be excluded. Instead of excluding all those 25 products on that same given day, what you do is you only exclude about 10 products and anywhere less than 15 products, because that is the right amount of product exclusions where it just doesn't end up completely destroying the performance and the campaign optimization, but it also leaves you enough room where you now have optimized the campaign to a level where it can reach a newer type of audience as well. So that's one thing I really noticed, which ended up destroying a lot of my campaigns. Never do that anymore. At least I'm not going to be doing that in order to preserve my performance max campaigns for as long as possible. But this brings me to the fifth point on the list, which is having more than 3 asset groups at any given time. So within the asset group section, one thing you never want to do, which is going to destroy your performance max campaign, is have multiple different asset groups like this one did right here. And if we go on over to listing groups, if we change this time period to all time, we can see that every asset group has spent a decent amount of money, but then looking at the conversion value over cost, one asset group got us a 1.71x ROAS. The second one, which was the best performing one, got us a 2.75x ROAS. The third one got us a 0.62x ROAS. And the reason why I say this is gonna kill your performance max campaign is because essentially due to 3 different asset groups, this campaign was not able to focus on any of them. So you can see the first asset group right here, it spent about 345 right here. The second one spent $737. The third one spent $200. As a result, it was not able to spend the most amount of money on this best performing one. And again, as a result, it didn't really optimize to the level I would have wanted it to optimize to. So because I had multiple different asset groups, my overall budget was redistributed to these two ones, which were again not performing the best way possible, whereas they could have been spending that money on the first one only. So that's why you want to only focus on one major asset group. Do whatever you need to do within that asset group, but let Google spend all of your budget on that asset group. And then if you want to test other things, create other campaigns and let those campaigns test different things out. But never again will I be personally launching different asset groups inside one PMax campaign, because that's a surefire way to kill that performance max campaign. Moving on now to our second to last way to destroy a PMax campaign, and that is through targeting more than one country in any given PMax campaign. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. A performance max campaign runs on data. That's essentially what it is. It's gonna run only on all of the data points it gets fed through the spending it does within your campaigns. And you don't want to make its life worse by adding more countries, because one thing you want to understand is every country responds differently to your product. They have different personas of how they perceive your product. They have different ways to kind of search for your products. I mean, you can't tell me that a person looking for a 3D printer in the United States is going to use the same exact keywords and have the same kind of buying intent that somebody living in Australia compared to somebody living in Germany compared to somebody living in India. Those three countries, four countries are gonna have completely different buying personas from each other, different keywords that they search for from each other, and so on and so forth. So it makes sense that you go out and reach out to those individually per Performance Max campaign. Again, PMax already, it's a complicated setup with data attribution. You don't want to make it more complicated by adding unnecessary countries. So again, leave it to one country at a time. But this brings me to the final point of the list as to what you can do to completely destroy your PMax campaigns, and that is to raise your budgets too fast and too often. Again, going back to my last point, PMax campaigns are fully based on data. So if you go in and you raise your budgets too often, if your campaign is not optimized enough, what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up completely wrecking your campaign's performance, because the budget optimization you did, it's not ideal to match the level of optimization your campaign had originally achieved. So I mean, if you're running a campaign at $25 a day, that PMax campaign had gotten to an audience with that $25 a day. If suddenly you come in and you raise that budget to $100 a day, it now has to work 5 times as harder to reach that right type of audience. And with that 5x increase in budget, it might necessarily not be the right kind of audience that you want to target. So always make sure that you're making those budget adjustments on a smaller scale, especially with PMax, if you don't want to kill your Performance Max campaigns. But again, if PMax campaigns just go through your head, you need a little bit of extra help scaling to the next level with Performance Max or just with Google Ads in general, and you're already doing $30,000 or more per month in revenue with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But if you found any type of value in this video, destroy that like button, destroy that subscribe button, and watch any of these two videos right in front of my face to take your e-commerce journey to the next level. And I will see you in my next video.